But let me ask you, when did you come out, Scotty? When did you come out?
So I feel like I came. Okay, so I came out. I feel like I came out several different times. So just bear with me when I answer this
Sure.
question. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was in college, I think I was like just turned 19, and my cousin Reggie was my roommate, and I had just met this guy. This guy had approached me on Facebook one time, and he, I thought he was so cute and stuff like that. So he lived around a block from the college that we went to. So I was pretty much like easy access. Like he could come and see me whenever he wanted. So when my cousin wasn't around, I'd sneak off to go see the guy and stuff like that. So one day the guy broke my heart and told me he couldn't be with me and stuff like that. Come to find out he had like two other guys that I didn't know nothing about. And I was sitting up in my room, just hurt, listening to Monica just crying
Wow.
and stuff. And my cousin walked in the room and he asked me what was wrong. And of course, I couldn't tell him because it was about a guy. And at the time, my cousin was straight. So I came out to him first and I told him, he was like, I don't give a fuck about you being gay, blah, 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 blah. Fuck that. I don't care what nobody got to say. Okay, whatever. So then after him, I started telling certain people in our circle that I was gay. And, I was just picking and choosing what friends I wanted to tell that to. So by the time I turned maybe like 20, I think I came out. I think my mother, because my mother would constantly ask me if I was gay. Because I guess she already knew. And I would always say no. But it was one day we were arguing and she asked me again and I blurted it out. And then, the reaction wasn't the best, but it was kind of like, we moved on from it. It's like we never spoke on it. It was never talked about. So when I turned 21, I'll never forget, it was Valentine's Day, 2 days after my birthday. I don't know why we were all arguing. It was me, my mom, and my sister. We were all arguing. And then it came up again. Are you gay? Because I feel like you're lying to me. Are you gay? I looked at my mother because I'm thinking to myself, I already told you this.
Right. I guess she wants to be sure.
Yeah, I was like, Mother, I said, Mama, I told you I like dudes like 2 years ago. Like, why are we doing this? And
And
when I said that, then the reaction, I guess, it settled into her. So I would say that my mama's reaction wasn't the most pleasant, but the thing with my mom was she cried, she screamed, she yelled, but the next day it was like nothing happened. And she never disowned me. She never treated me any differently. It was like she had that one moment where she cried and screamed and stuff, but the next day okay, what you want to eat this morning? Blah, 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 blah. Like it was like nothing ever happened. But years later, when we went to therapy, I got a better understanding because she even admitted that she made it about her versus
yes,
thinking
most
about
parents
me.
do. Most
Yeah,
parents do. Yeah,
thinking about me
yeah,
and how I felt coming out to her.
yeah.
And
They think it's their fault that they made you that way.
but she thought she did something wrong and all this other stuff. And then she went on to say that she had an uncle that was gay. And when she was growing up in the 70s, she had an uncle that was gay. He used to wear aprons and stuff, dressed like a woman and stuff. But the family sent him to a mental institute. So it kind of makes sense as to why her reaction was what it was. So I understood my mother a lot better.
Right.
One of my siblings, when I came out to them, they wasn't the most receptive. We didn't talk for months behind that, but we eventually got back. We got to be cool, but I always felt like it was an elephant in the room.
Got you.
Still was a big elephant in the room. But then when it came down to my youngest brother, I came out to him when he was 12. When I first came out of the closet, he was only like maybe 9, 10. And my mother came to me and she was like, "Are you going to tell your brother?" And I said, "He's only 12. Why do I need to tell him that?" And she was like, "Well, you can't keep hiding it from
You
him."
can't.
So
He
when she
understands more than you think.
right, so I told him and he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "That's it? Like that's it? Like you don't he was like, what am I supposed to say?
What did you expect? Yeah.
And then I said, so you're not gonna throw nothing at me, you're not gonna cuss me out, you're not gonna say you're embarrassed of me, like you're not gonna do none of that. And he was like, well, why would I say that? You my brother, so why would I say that? And he
Wow.
was only 12 when he said that.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yes.
I was like, that made me feel better. And of course, my mother also asked me about my dad. Am I gonna tell my dad? And by this time, me and my dad had made up and we were in a better place, but I wasn't open with him about my sexuality. So my mother asked me, are you gonna tell your dad? And I said, he ain't never asked. And so she said, well, I'm gonna tell him then. I said, you can tell him, I don't care. Go ahead, tell him. And when she told him, he was like, okay, that's still my son. So it's like my dad and my brother had the best reaction to it. Okay. So once my mother and my dad and my brother knew, then it was no longer me trying to be discreet anymore. I was open with my sexuality once they knew. So once they knew, I didn't care anymore.
So because you got more comfortable, but I want to go back a little bit because I want to find out. I'm just curious to find out when did you know? Like how did I come up?
Okay, so it would be those things where it would go in and out. Like I remember being a little boy, maybe like 10 or 11, and I remember this guy. He went to school with me, and he was one of the only guys in my class that didn't bully me. And I thought he was so fine. He's still fine today, but I thought he was so fine and all this other stuff. But I blanked that moment out of my head. But when I was 14, I tell this story all the time, and everybody laughs at me. But when I was 14, this is when I really knew. When I was 14, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, Scotty. Before you get into that story, I just want to interject real quick. When you hit, your mic picks up all of that.
I'm sorry.
And you do that all the time doing your videos. I'm like, can you stop hitting, Scotty? You do that all the time in your videos. I don't know if you notice or not, but when you be hitting your desk or hitting something, that mic picks it or pick it up.
Okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's friendly advice. Yeah.
Yeah. But I never forget it. It was the summer of 2003. I was 14. I was going to the 9th grade that year, and I was watching 106 in Park.
Okay.
And Ashanti had came out with this new video. It was called Rock With You. And I was watching this video, and I'm like, oh, she looks great. Blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. She looks great. She looks great. But then the love interest in the video was the main thing that caught my eyes. I was just focused on him the entire time I was watching. And I went to sleep that night and had a dream about him that night. And I was just like, what is wrong with me? And so that's how I knew. But I never acted on nothing when I was in high school. So I felt like if I don't act on it, then it don't mean that I'm gay.
Okay.
Like I didn't date a girl in high school. I never.
I was about to ask you, did you ever dip into the lady pond? I was going to
never dated a girl. Never slept with a girl. Never did none of that. Okay. So,
Okay. So, but you kind of knew that because that fantasy was there. So
it was.
But how did you know? Like, how did that transition into you actually confirming? How did that confirm? What does that confirmation look like? How did that look like to you?
So once I got once I graduated high school and I went to college, that's when it was like, okay, I'm out here. I'm nowhere near home. So I should be free to do whatever. So that first guy that I just mentioned that hit me up on Facebook, he was a dark-skinned guy. That's how I knew I like dark-skinned guys a lot. He was a dark-skinned guy, and I was 19. I think he was probably 21 or 22 years old. And, I was nervous because I never talked to a guy before. So I was like, well, what's the big deal? Blah, 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 blah. So he came up to the school to visit me one day, and he had my phone number. And, I went outside, sat in the car, talked to him, and then he kissed me. And I had never kissed anybody before. So he kissed me. And that's how I knew then. I said, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah, whatever, So I took off from that point. Like I knew that's what I wanted to be.
That's been your preface ever since.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Scott.